What's up, Dolphins fans? Happy Tuesday afternoon. Welcome to Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nic Rohloff. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend and is ready to talk about some Dolphins football. I apologize for not being here the last couple Tuesdays. 2 weeks ago, it was the day before the NBA draft, so I had to do a lot of stuff with the NBA world. Last week, we went live on Monday to react to the Jaelan Ramsey trade, and I know they traded for Darren Waller on Tuesday, but we had a bunch of stuff we had to do for NBA free agency, so it's been a little bit since we've been live on the channel on a Tuesday afternoon. But we're going to hope to keep it consistent for the rest of the offseason and into the regular season. I'm trying to think quickly off the top of my head why I would not be able to do a Tuesday afternoon live show the rest of the year, and I'm having a hard time coming up with one. So I think we're good to go for the rest of the year in offseason on Tuesday afternoon. So welcome in. Glad to see the 70-plus people here early in the live show. As always, I want to know where the real ones are watching from. Shout out your city for me down in the comment section. Where are the real ones watching from? My guy Tim. What is up, my friend? I can answer that question a little bit. Tim, also, if you want to use hashtag Dolphins, that would be able to potentially get our mailbag later in the show. What's up, Christopher? Satori, when we get 1,000 followers on IGs when we do the Instagram Q&A. We're about 58 away, I believe. Tim's in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Cite is, what are your thoughts on moving Melifonwu to corner? He has done that in the past, so that is certainly an option if Miami wants to explore that. Niels is in Germany. That's electric. Cameron's in North Carolina. Up N is in Queens, New York. My dad was born in Queens. Moved when he was like 6 or 7 to Watertown, New York. Charles in Kentucky. Cameron in Tampa. Tim in Orlando. Zoe is in Charlotte, North Carolina. I love the city of Charlotte. Lopez, have you ever been to Charlotte, North Carolina? He's going to hold that thought. I love Charlotte, North Carolina. I was there for a weekend. It was absolutely awesome. Richard's in the UK. Grayson's in Mississippi. Bill Lyon is always in Syracuse, New York. Timothy is in Macomb. Lenoris is in Milwaukee. I see Cite, hour south of Atlanta. Jasmine says Colorado. All right, Lopez, have you ever been to Charlotte, North Carolina?
I think close I got. I might have flown through there once, but that was about it.
Oh, so you really haven't been.
No, I have not been to Charlotte.
Okay.
But
it's a great city. The Queen City, it's absolutely terrific. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Have an unbelievable story about that, which probably is not the best to admit, but the last time I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, I was with some friends from work. It was a college football trip, and we were flying out Sunday morning, and on Saturday night, we went out after a North Carolina-South Carolina neutral site football game, and me and someone else, I won't name names, I won't tell the story for him, might have drank a little bit too much. Our phones also died that Saturday night, and for whatever reason, I am not sure how we got back to the Airbnb that night because our phones were dead, and, I don't quite remember getting home, if you are catching my drift. But we made the flight the next morning.
That's called resourcefulness.
It wasn't a pretty flight, but I remember waking up, getting in that Uber to the airport. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us here early in this Tuesday live stream. I have a fun question coming up next. This is something that we have always talked about here at the channel. Confidence level in the O-line. 1 to 100. Let me know. Confidence level. Oh, it was a blast. It was something. Flew in, I think, Friday morning. Had all day Friday. All day Saturday, and then left on Sunday. It was fun, man. It was a blast. I love Charlotte. So much so that I said I would absolutely love to go back. Haven't been able to go back yet. All right, confidence level in the O-line this year. Obviously, the offensive line was maybe the worst thing that the Dolphins roster had going them for last season. But they replaced Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg with Jonas Savvy-Inaya and James Daniels. Teron Armstead retires. Patrick Paul comes into the spear starting left tackle. I think it's a little bit irresponsible for my guy Grayson to say 100. That's a bit ridiculous. Same thing with Devin. Like, there's no way you believe this offensive line is going to be like the best in football this upcoming year. I mean, that's just insane. I forget what I put in my notes. What did I say? I think 72 sounds right. Yep, 72. 72 is my confidence level. Forgot the number I said specifically. Bill saying 69 plus. Can't complain with that. William is saying 25. Jasmine 70. Timothy 60. Cameron 60. Ronnie 60. A lot of even numbers. Not many people going with like a 77 or a 63. It's either 90, 80, 65. It's all intervals of 5. I don't know what's up with that. No creativity here today, folks. No creativity. Well, let's just say this. If the Dolphins' offensive line graded out as like a 43 last year, I would expect it to be significantly better around that 72 range. I really do. And we'll have a full show on this live edition of Dolphins Today talking about the offensive line and how it is improved as a whole. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Appreciate the people still hanging in with us. Here's another fun question. Who is your favorite Dolphins player? Who is your favorite Dolphins player currently on the roster? I'll give you my answer here in a second, but I love to hear what the people have to say. Who is your guy? It's like, dang, man, I like watching him every single week. Ronnie Taylor is saying Tua. You don't see that often around these YouTube streets, I'll be honest. T says Waddle. Jasmine D says Waddle. Cameron C says Waddle. Soto says Jordan Brooks. I have to respect that. Tim Trini says Zach Sealer. Cameron says Achan. Zoe says Achan. Ashley says Tua when he's actually playing. Robert Hernandez is rocking with Jaelan Phillips. Ronald Wright saying 28. That's Devon Achan. So is Bill Lyon. Grayson saying the newest Dolphin and the returning man, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Our producer, Nick Lopez, is going Ashton Davis. He just plays the right way. Well, why does he play the right way? What do you like about his game, Lopez?
He just has that grit to him. You ever sit down and watch Ashton Davis highlights?
Okay. Do you know where you went to school?
Don't need to know.
Oh, Lopez doesn't know. The good old-fashioned college game. Ashton Davis was a California Golden Bear. Ashy says Jaelan Phillips. David says a healthy Tua. Grayson now saying Darren Waller. My favorite Dolphins player is Jalen Waddle. I have 2 jerseys at the Chat Sports Studios that I wear on game days. I have a aqua jersey, a white jersey, and then I have a bunch of polos and hoodies that I'll wear on game days. The 2 jerseys I have in studio is a white throwback 17 Jalen Waddle, and then a aqua throwback Dan Marino jersey that was gifted to us by a legendary fan and viewer of the channel, which was just awesome. I wore it like the last 4 or 5 games of the season because it's just a sweet Dan Marino jersey. Shout out to Jason Smith. Jason Smith sent that. It was awesome stuff. As we get closer and closer to having the real show begin today, I do want to throw out an idea. Because I felt bad that I haven't been live on Tuesdays the past couple of weeks, I'll offer a deal for the Dolphins fan. If we get $50 in Super Chats today as a total, I will do a beer bong. I brought the contraption into the studio. Doesn't have to be a $50 Super Chat, which is usually what we do a beer bong for. But if we get 50 in total, I'll do a beer bong. Wanted to offer it up for the real ones here at Dolphins Today, hanging out with us in early, middle July, 2 weeks from training camp. I believe training camp starts 2 weeks from tomorrow. So let me do some quick math here. It'll be the 23rd of July when Miami ultimately gets rookies and veterans starting to pile into South Beach, the 305, to get things rolling. We'll see, though. Yeah, make me recreate that North Carolina trip. Lopez cracks me up. This guy's unbelievable, I tell you what. This guy's hilarious. I just wanted to throw that deal out there. But with the 79 people watching, we should at least be at 80 likes. If you want the real show to start, we have 4 shows that we're going to get to today. We will get to them and start them off when we get to 40 likes. We are 14 away. Hit that thumbs up icon. We appreciate everybody tuning in here. It takes 1 second to show appreciation. Hit that thumbs up button. And when we get to 40 likes, we'll get the party started, baby. We'll get the party started. And I am excited to talk about some stuff today. We have 4 segments coming up live, as I mentioned. What are those 4 segments, you might ask? Well, could a UDFA star ultimately be cut? Did the Miami Dolphins fix their biggest problem? ESPN has a surprise player for the Fins this season, and we'll round out the show with a Q&A. We'll get rolling. We'll go in this order. We'll start with the UDFA star that could ultimately get cut in a couple minutes, but we have to get to 40 likes. We are 2 away. We're at 38. Who are going to be the 2 that get us over the top of that 40 number and get the show ultimately started? Who is going to get us rolling here on a Tuesday? Once we do, we're getting started, baby. We're getting started. Let's see the newest like update, 39. We need 1. Who's going to be that person to get the job done? I don't know, but we got a bunch of likes there. We just crossed that 40 like threshold to 42. Appreciate everybody who is tuning in and has hit that thumbs up icon. With that being said, Lopez, when you are ready, we can get started with the first episode of the live show. Let's roll, baby. This star UDFA could ultimately end up being cut from the Dolphins roster, maybe even before training camp. I would not applaud for it. I would not want this to happen. But due to other moves that have happened this offseason since the draft took place and undrafted free agents were signed, it might have left this certain player on the outside looking in. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are continuing to bring you daily content during the offseason. We still have 2 weeks to go until players report for training camp, but we have never missed a day of putting out videos here on the channel. So if you want daily coverage of the Dolphins, hit that sub button. My bosses are challenging me to get 25 subs from today's show, so help me out. Join the channel. The UDFA that I am referring to is the safety from Ole Miss, Saunders Jr. And it pains me. It does. I was almost shedding a tear making this video today because this was a player that I was very high on. You can roll back the tape, go back to the videos that we made right after the draft in April of me going through the UDFAs that Miami signed, going through the entire class. I made a couple shorts. I labeled Saunders Jr. as a player that could really flash this summer for the Dolphins and ultimately make a push for a roster spot due to the lack of fortified and solidified talent that Miami had. But with the trade that acquired Minkah Fitzpatrick, obviously sending Jaelan to Pittsburgh, there is a chance where Saunders Jr. might not make it even to the end of training camp in August and certainly not make the 53-man roster. You look at what Miami has in this room after adding Fitzpatrick. It's a loaded group, dude. It just is. Saunders Jr., unfortunately, was relegated to the also tab at the bottom of your screen because you have players that have been in the NFL, have been draft picks, have been starting level guys like Davis, like Melifanu, obviously Fitzpatrick. You have a 6th-round pick in 2024 in McMorris, a 5th-round pick in 2025 in Dante Trader Jr., and Elijah Campbell, who provides you with so many different opportunities because of his Swiss Army knife capabilities of playing in the nickel and playing on special teams. We have talked about on the channel, there is a chance that your 6th-round pick from a year ago, Patrick McMorris, does not make the 53-man roster this season. So if we are talking about a 6th-round pick from a year ago who showed some decent flashes in preseason, McMorris getting cut, well then it's going to be very, very difficult for a UDFA and John Saunders Jr. to ultimately make this roster, despite him being a player that I was really high on. And we're going to talk about John Saunders Jr. in this video quite a bit. And I want to look back at his pre-draft little tape here. We'll start with his athletic testing. He came in at an 8.05 as a corner because he was a little bit labeled slow. But when you translate this position to like a free safety, his RAS came out to like an 8.6. He's got excellent size for the position. He's explosive. He's really good changing direction. You see it in the 3-cone drill. You see his explosion grade labeled as great with his vertical and broad jump. The only thing that John Saunders Jr. struggles with in terms of athleticism is his straight line speed. But his agility and his size, that will play. And he can play ball, too. Like, I know we're bringing up athleticism and size profile. You see the height to weight combination there, 6'2". He's a big guy. Like, this is something that needs to be mentioned. But, like, when you look at his raw production, his PFF grades and coverage while playing in college, started in the MAC, transferred to the SEC, played 2 years at Ole Miss before coming out to the draft where he was ultimately a UDFA. You can just tell by the tape and the numbers that this dude just has a knack for making plays on the football field. And we're going to continue to bring this up here, but I want you to make the call before we go farther into this video. Will John Saunders Jr. get cut from the Dolphins roster? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Pin comment on today's episode, so if you hit with YouTube ad break, scroll down, let it play, and answer the question. I wanted to look back at his stats while playing for Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Runnin' Rebels. He was a starter full-time after transferring from the MAC for 2 years, 2023 and 2024, where he played 13 games each season. So it's not like he dealt with injuries. No, he played. And he just had a knack for making plays and forcing turnovers. I mean, you see it. This past season, he had 4 forced fumbles. He had 6 interceptions, 3 coming in each of the last 2 seasons. That is elite level stuff there. He had a way of being around the football, making plays. So this is one of the many reasons why I was very happy and optimistic about him being a player that can make a push for this Dolphins roster when they sign him in undrafted free agency just after the draft in April. Another reason why, his versatility. You look at the snaps he played in the SEC at Ole Miss, he did a bunch of everything. The primary amount of his snaps actually came from the slot. And it's actually very jarring to me that his snap distribution in the 2 years playing in the SEC were so similar. Like the slot snaps, 5 apart. The free safety snaps, 39 apart. The box snaps, 2 apart. Corner snap 6. It's almost like they had a snap count on each each position he could play. Like that's how similar it was. But it also illustrates the versatility he can bring to the table. Like I love the fact he can play all over the place. And if you've been subscribed and been watching our content ever since I took over as the host here at Dolphins Today a year and change ago really, it was right as the 2024 NFL draft was getting underway. I have always preached versatility. That is something that I will talk about a lot on the football field. I will talk a lot about that in life. I think that is one of the most important things that people can be, a versatile figure, get things done. And John Saunders Jr. does that. He can play cover in the nickel. He can stop the run playing almost as like a speedy linebacker, and he can play that free roaming safety as well, which is why it is hard for me to make this video about him potentially not even making it to the end of August. And you look at his coverage stats as a member of Ole Miss. So he played in 2 seasons at Ole Miss. He played 912 snaps in coverage. He gave up a completion percentage of 61%, 11.1 yards per catch, 7 touchdowns allowed in 2 seasons, 1,000 snaps, I'm going to make that note, while having 6 interceptions to 10 PBU and a QB rating when targeted of 77.7. So he is versatile. He can play multiple different positions. He can make plays in the run game as well as in the pass game. And he had good coverage stats. There is a reason why I felt so strongly about John Saunders Jr. after we signed him in UDFA. I loved the signing. It was one of my favorite. The three favorite signings that I had in undrafted free agency was John Saunders Jr., Andrew Armstrong, and Eugene Asante. And I still like John Saunders Jr. I still want to have him get a really good chance to make this roster. It's just is a little bit unfortunate where the Dolphins safety room is currently at. And we'll look at that room more in depth here in a second. But before we get to that, I have to let you know about this deal. It's unbelievable. This is an insane hoodie sale right now for the Miami Dolphins. Was $69. Nice. Down to $29. $40 off when you go to chatsports.com/MIA hoodie. That link is in the description and comments of today's video. Take advantage right now. Sizes are running out. Don't know how much longer we're going to have this sale on for $40 off. You just don't see that, folks. Get it right now. Chatsports.com/MIA hoodie. You might ask yourself, well, how am I going to make a video about a star UDFA potentially being cut when all you've done this entire video is hype him up as a player that can help this Dolphins organization? Well, I kind of alluded to it. There just isn't a lot of room for him on this football team. Like, the Dolphins would have to set an unprecedented number of safeties cap on initial 53-man. Because to me, you already have 4 roster locks at that safety position. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Iafatu Melifonwu, Ashton Davis, and Dante Trader Jr. You're obviously not releasing a top half safety in the NFL in Minkah Fitzpatrick. You signed these 2 to 1 year deals in free agency. Not big contracts, so technically you could move off of them, yes. But I like what both of them bring to the table, and I anticipate them having large roles in this Dolphins secondary, so I think they are locks. And I also would believe that the Dante Trader Jr. is also a lock. He would have to be the worst safety known to man to be cut after being a 5th-round pick just last April. There's just no way you cut a 5th-round pick before one NFL season in my book. He'd have to be absolutely atrocious. So you got 4 roster locks, in my opinion, at safety. So then you go down the line of everybody else that is still on this roster, at least right now in the offseason where you have 90 people. Well, do the Dolphins keep 5 or 6 safeties? I think it's very, very likely the Dolphins keep 5. It would be unprecedented for them to take 6 safeties. I'm being serious here. There is just a lot of historical data that says teams don't keep 6 safeties often. Under Mike McDaniel, Miami has never kept 6 safeties. So it's who is John Saunders Jr. going to beat out to potentially make this roster? If he wants to make the 53-man, he'd have to beat out Patrick McMorris and Elijah Campbell. I find that extremely hard for him to do, considering Campbell's production he brings in special teams. He's a special teams ace. So even if Miami ultimately kept an unprecedented 6 safeties, he would have to beat out Patrick McMorris. But the issue is, I think myself, and then most of you all as well, really like Patrick McMorris. Before he got hurt in the preseason last year, he was making plays. And I think he would have made the 53-man roster a season ago if he didn't get hurt and been placed on IR to where he missed the first half of the year. So it's are you already going to give up on Patrick McMorris for a UDFA? If that's the case, that means John Saunders Jr. had an incredible preseason and an incredible training camp. Is it possible? Sure. I am just very pessimistic about that chance. I hope I'm wrong because I love John Saunders Jr. and I've loved him ever since Miami signed him in UDFA. It just is going to be very difficult for him to make this roster with how many safeties the Dolphins currently have on this group. But let me know your thoughts. How many safeties do the Dolphins ultimately keep? Will it be 5? Will it be 6? That's practically what we're choosing from here. I doubt they would go a little bit skinny and go 4. So let me know. How many safeties do the Dolphins ultimately keep? If John Saunders Jr. does not make the 53-man roster, I am going to hope, pray, and cross my fingers that the Dolphins could ultimately get him back to the practice squad. We've seen Miami do that in the past. Even Nick Needham, who was a longtime UDFA for Miami, he got released this past year at cutdown day, and they were able to keep him on the practice squad for a while. Maybe the same could be had for John Saunders Jr., because I am bullish on his potential in the long term of his NFL career. I think he's a really good player, and I think he'll find a role somewhere in the National Football League, preferably for me, with the Miami Dolphins. Final word on this episode of Dolphins Today. I think it's very unlikely he makes the 53-man roster, as you might have been able to tell as this video has progressed. But it's not like he will actually be cut before training camp or before the major shrinking of the roster from 90 to 53, right? He'll be around for the full training camp. He'll play in all 3 preseason games Miami has against Jacksonville, Chicago, and Detroit. And hopefully he'll be able to showcase enough to where Miami wants to stick him around. And who knows, maybe in his case, maybe he does play good enough to earn a 53-man roster spot. But I hope the best for him. I just think it's going to be very unlikely for this guy to make it. And I know it's a player that I've really liked. I know it's a player that most of you guys in the comment section have really liked. So it's an unfortunate situation, but it looks bleak for John Saunders Jr. after you acquired Minkah Fitzpatrick, because adding another safety was really never in the cards. We'll watch how this story unfolds as we get into late July and August for the preseason and training camp, which is why you need to be subscribed to the channel. We'll have daily training camp updates, news, rumors, live for preseason games as we inch closer and closer to the NFL season in September. Subscribe now and join us here at Dolphins Today, because we're a great family. All right, un video down. Will Saunders Jr. be cut? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Y for yes, N for no. Lopez saying yes. Cameron saying yes. Joey D saying yes. So is BR. So is Zoe. It pains me, man. It pains me. Pains me. It pains me. It does. It does. I would love to have him make the 53-man. I don't want to see him go. It'd be brutal to see this guy go. I think he's a great player. I think he's awesome. Problem is that, as BR points out, the safety room is the most competitive room on the roster. Like, it's ironic when you really look at the safety room Miami has, because on paper, are you going to consider it like a top half room in the NFL? No, I wouldn't consider that at all. But there's just so many guys fighting for so many roster spots. It's the most competitive one. That's really how it feels, man. That's really how it feels. Remember, deal of the day, if we get to $50 in Super Chats today, we will do a beer bong. Got the Merbanga here in studio. We have not got a Super Chat today. Let's see if that changes. No pressure, just saying, like, hey, if we want to have a little bit of a party here. I haven't been live the last couple Tuesdays due to NBA content we've had to do here. But I would be more than willing to have a little bit of a hangout and a party with the Dolphins fans. Do a beer bong if we get 50s in Super Chats today. Doesn't have to be one. This has to amass $50 as a crew. We'll give it 30 seconds, and once we're 30 seconds away from the 30-minute mark. Once we get to the 30-minute mark, no Super Chats come in, we'll get going with our next segment. Over 100 people watching. Appreciate all y'all. Got my Dr. Pepper today. Diet Dr. Pepper. It's good stuff. People want to cut the GM. I'm with you. Hey, if the Dolphins don't make the playoffs this year, I think you could say goodbye to Chris Grier finally. And if not, I might have to get Stephen Ross out of that ownership seat. That's for sure. All right, let's get into the next segment here. Has Miami fixed their biggest problem? Let's talk about it. Yep. I'm Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. The Dolphins did not have a good season last year. They had a lot of problems. But we know what their biggest problem was. The question is, did Miami fix it this offseason? I believe they have, and I'll talk why. But what is that biggest problem? Without a doubt, The biggest offense or the biggest issue for the Dolphins in 2024 was their offensive line. I don't think it's rocket science saying that. There was a lot of things that went wrong for Miami last season. Tua's inability to stay healthy. The defense getting banged up. Bradley Chubb never playing. But that offensive line was absolutely brutal. And to me, maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, folks, but I believe that offensive line has been fixed. I do. I don't think this is hopium. I think this is a legit solution with what Miami did in free agency, what they did in the draft, and you even have to take it back a year ago in the 2024 NFL draft when Miami drafted an offensive lineman early in day 2. And if you want the O-line to be improved from a year ago, there is no reason to jinx it. Hit that like button. You want the Dolphins to go from a bottom 5 offensive line in football, which they were a year ago, to a top half offensive line. Hit that thumbs up icon. If there's 10,000 people that watch this video, I should see 10,000 likes because there should be not one single Dolphins fan that doesn't want to see this O-line improve from a year ago. So let's look at the changes that were made from one season to this season. In 2024, the center right tackle will stay the same. It will be Aaron Brewer at center, who was a top 10 center in football last season. And then Austin Jackson is going to be your right tackle. But the changes are at left guard, left tackle, and right guard. Teron Armstead retires. In comes the second-round pick, Patrick Paul. You let Robert Jones go in free agency. He went to the Dallas Cowboys. You signed James Daniels in free agency to take that spot. Could play right guard, but I would play him at left guard. And then obviously Liam Eichenberg, who has plagued this Dolphins offensive line as a starter in almost every single year of his 4 years in the NFL so far, is likely going to be replaced by the 38th overall pick, second-round Arizona guard, Jonah Savignaya. That is legit improvement from one season to the next. Aaron Brewer was awesome at center last season, so getting him as a second-year guy, he'll probably even be better. Austin Jackson only played about half the snaps last season due to a shoulder injury he suffered. If he stays healthy, that's going to be a really good stronghold at right tackle. And then when you think about the improvements on the interior offensive line at left guard and right guard, that's just absolutely massive. And it's hard not to improve from where you were a season ago. If you look at your 2024 offensive line, they were the 27th graded O-line according to Pro Football Focus with a 56 grade. Embarrassing. Pass block win rate. The offensive line had a 56% pass block win rate. 28th in the NFL. The run block win rate wasn't much better. 26th in the NFL with a 70% win rate. The fact that Miami was able to go 8-9 and be somewhat competitive in their games with that bad of an offensive line is kind of remarkable. And the offensive line play that you got a year ago, it's flat out unacceptable. That is embarrassing. And any team that sees their offensive line go out and perform that way should immediately do everything in their power to overhaul the O-line. And that, to me, is exactly what Chris Grier did. Well, look at the O-line as a whole now. If you stay healthy, this is a pretty good O-line, in my opinion. Like, Austin Jackson and Aaron Brewer coming back is huge. James Daniels is a veteran who was absolutely terrific for Pittsburgh a year ago before suffering his injury. Jonah Savignaya was widely considered one of the most versatile and best interior offensive line players that you could find in this draft. When you looked at interior offensive linemen, Savignaya, Booker, Gray Zabel, those were the top ones. And you got one of the top 5 guards in this draft. And then Patrick Paul is a player you invested in a year ago. You took him in the second round of the 24 draft. He got to learn under Teron Armstead. He also started 3 games. So he got a perfect mixture of 3 starts against good competition, too, by the way. Had to go up against the Texans, Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. But he also got to learn behind arguably a top 3 left tackle in football in the last decade, which is Teron Armstead. I think you would really consider him top 3. It's him or probably Trent Williams. Those are probably your 2 best left tackles in the last 10 years. So I believe in Patrick Paul. I believe in believe in Savignaya. Can't believe I almost said Eichenberg. And I believe in James Daniels. I do. So I have more confidence in this O-line, and I think the biggest problem for Miami has been fixed. We're going to continue to talk about that, but I want to give it a little quick pause. Confidence level in the O-line from the people watching at home. Scale of 1 to 100. 100 being this is going to be the best O-line in football. 1 being it's going to be the worst O-line in football. Let me know your confidence level in this Dolphins O-line in the comment section right now. I'm going to give you mine here in a second. With 2 improvements at left guard and right guard, that should prove to be a really big change for the Dolphins. I mean, I can't overstate going from Robert Jones to James Daniels and Liam Eichenberg to Jonah Saviniaya. It's going to be absolutely massive. So what is my confidence level? I'm giving it a 72. I think if you look at what the Dolphins did last season, you would say the offensive line was probably like in the 40s. Like that's the confidence level on a week-to-week basis I would give the Dolphins O-line. Going into week 1, assuming that the 5 that I presented on screen a couple minutes ago is your starting O-line against the Colts in week 1, yeah, I'm going 72. I believe in them. I believe this will be a better unit. And to be fair, like, it can't get worse. Like, I say I believe this will be a better unit. Well, last year's unit might have been here, and the worst is here. So you're already at the bottom. So you just got to be a little bit better. Like, this O-line just simply can't be worse than it was last season. And I have a couple more stats that show how ugly it was. I mean, it's embarrassing. And this is more in the run department. The Dolphins had the worst rate of first down runs. Rushing first down percentage. 20.7% of the Dolphins' carries last season resulted in first downs. 32nd in the NFL. If you didn't know, there's 32 NFL teams, so it's dead last. And then the Dolphins as a team averaged 4 yards per carry. That was tied for 27th. So it's like all the numbers I show, pass block win rate, run block win rate, rushing first down percentage, yards per carry, PFF grade, all of them have Miami in the bottom 5 O-line from a year ago. So I don't think there's much more I need to say in terms of, yeah, this was the biggest issue for Miami a season ago, and I expect there to be improvements. And now I want to look specifically at those improvements, and we're going to start at left guard. The Dolphins gave out one multi-year contract that really had significant value. Like the other multi-year deal they gave out was Nick Westbrook-Ikhine on a 2-year, $7.5 million deal. James Daniels got a 3-year, $24 million deal. That was the biggest contract they gave out. And he's going to come in here to be your starting left guard or right guard. I would start him at left guard. That remains to be seen where James Daniels ultimately starts. But with Robert Jones being as bad as he was last season, there's no other way but up. And I do give Robert Jones credit because Armstead missed time. Austin Jackson missed time. Robert Jones didn't miss any games. He started all 17. So I give him credit on that end. But he wasn't good. And you saw the numbers from James Daniels. Yeah, that he only played 4 games and he suffered a pretty catastrophic injury. No doubt about it. But when he is on the football field, he is playing at a high level. And if you look at his zone run blocking stats compared to his power run blocking stats, it shows you that he's much better in that zone type of scheme, which, if you didn't know, that's what Mike McDaniel runs. So that's a scheme. So, that's a perfect fit. And I think James Daniels is going to come in, be perfect, and be ready to roll week 1 against the Indianapolis Colts. More coming here in a second, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel for more daily coverage on the Fins. This is the place for you. We're a family here at Dolphins Today, so join us. It'll be a lot of fun watching Dolphins football together this season, but we're going to have videos in between games and leading up to the preseason and training camp portion of the offseason. Yeah, James Daniels is coming off a torn Achilles. I get how that would be concerning to a lot of fans out there. It's concerning to me. I'm not going to act like it's nothing. But I have the utmost confidence that he will be an upgrade over Robert Jones, even coming off a torn Achilles. I really believe that. And I don't want to just make this the let's shit on Eichenberg and Robert Jones show, but that's truly where things actually are. They were so bad that, it can't get worse. So, yes, I do believe James Daniels is going to be a massive improvement. It's why Miami felt good about giving him a 3-year, $24 million deal, and hopefully he's able to reward Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel for believing in him this offseason and giving him that contract. Let's shift it over to the other guard spot, Liam Eichenberg. I mean, the fact that we are released from the clutches of this terrorist is so awesome. Like, I'm sorry, Liam. You're a great guy. That's what everyone says that knows you in the building, but you are atrocious. You just are. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I'm sorry. Ever since he was drafted in the second round out of Notre Dame, he's been horrible. The only thing he's got going for him is that he knows Mike McDaniel's scheme, and he's versatile. He's played tackle, he's played guard, he's played center. But he's also been one of the worst players in all of the NFL. Anything, and I mean anything, would be an upgrade over Liam Eichenberg. If the Dolphins drafted a fourth-round guard, it would be an upgrade. But they really invested by going out and getting Jonah Savinaya, who played right tackle, played left tackle, right guard for the University of Arizona, and did it at an extremely high level. And we've talked a lot about Savinaya this offseason. There's no doubt about it. He's one of my favorite picks in the entire draft, not even just for the Fins. Like, he just is a leader. He's hard-nosed. He will set the tone in the locker room and be a leader. And I'm excited for that aspect that he'll bring to the table as well. But the dude can flat-out play too, man. He can flat-out play. He will be a massive upgrade over Liam Eichenberg. Do you feel the same way? Is Jonah Savinaya an upgrade over Liam Eichenberg? I think he is. But let me know your thoughts. Y for yes, N for no. I don't think you can really say that he's not, to be fair. All right, there's another position that is changing, and that's at left tackle. This one's going to be the one where you're probably downgrading slightly. But I don't want that to be a knock on Patrick Paul. It's a changing of the guard. You're going from one of the best left tackles in the game in Teron Armstead to an unproven first-year full-time starter in Patrick Paul. Paul got 3 starts last season, a couple of them late in the year, one of them against the Houston Texans. That game was an absolute disaster. The O-line just absolutely got killed. Kendall Lamb started at right tackle. Paul was at left tackle. Jackson Carman got PT. It was brutal. And, like, you see the numbers. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and act like Patrick Paul was phenomenal as a rookie. He wasn't. And Teron Armstead was a top 5 graded offensive tackle last season. But, like, I believe in him. And so does the coaching staff. So do his teammates. Teron Armstead in his retirement media tour has consistently said that he believes Patrick Paul has put in the work. He showed his dedication to his body, to his craft, his technique, to this organization, while learning behind him all last season to where he's going to be in line to be a big-time riser this year and be the franchise left tackle for the Miami Dolphins. And I know that means a little bit different for Miami and compared to other teams because Tua's blind side is the right tackle, Austin Jackson, rather than Paul at left tackle. Will it be a downgrade from last season? I don't think that's a question. It won't be as good as Teron Armstead. But I expect it to not be as severe as a drop-off as many people might imagine. And then when you factor in the improvements at left guard and right guard with Savinaya and James Daniels, I expect an improved O-line. I just don't know how you as a fan can sit here and believe otherwise. Like, I know it's hard to really feel confident about a Dolphins O-line because there just really hasn't been a good one ever since that. Well, I know it's only 2 years ago, but 2023, obviously a good O-line there, such a good rushing attack. It's why the Dolphins had a top 5 offense in football. But it's like Miami's O-line has been an issue for almost every other year in the last decade besides that one. I think this O-line has a chance to be really, really good. And I think it has a chance to be I wouldn't say top 10 O-line, but average to above average. Like, could it be an O-line that ranks anywhere between like 11 and 16? I think so. Anything outside of the bottom 12 is a win for me. If the Dolphins have a O-line that is ranked higher than 19, that's a win because that's how bad it was last season. So I expect an upgrade, and I hope to see one. That'll do it for this episode of Dolphins Today. If you made it to the end of this video, hit that thumbs up icon. Like I mentioned, don't jinx it. If you want the O-line to improve, you got to hit that like icon here. And if you made it to the end of the video and haven't hit the like button, what are you doing? You clearly like what we're bringing to the table. So just take 1 second out of your day and hit the thumbs up button. All right, second segment down. I just think that the O-line is improved. I mean, I really don't know how you can justify it not being one. I was a little bit nervous, but then they signed James Daniels. They drafted Jonah. Excited, man. I think it's going to be a good O-line. They made a legit investment into the trenches this year. James Daniels in free agency, Savvy Naya in the draft, Kenneth Grant in the draft, Jordan Phillips in the draft, Zeke Biggers in the draft. Love it. I feel pretty good about it, man. Oh, God. My YouTube studio sometimes does this where, like, the live chat goes away, the analytics from the stream goes away. I don't get it. All right, we're back. We're back. I don't understand. Confidence level, I see a 59, 90, 64, 69, 65, 60, 50. I like it, man. I like it. BR says, as a new football fan, last year taught me how important the trenches are. Simple game, man. Simple game. Like, I hate to say it's that simple, but, like, if you are a team that dominates the trenches with your offensive line and defensive line, it is very difficult for you to be a bad football team. So, like, if you start by building in the trenches, like you start with that D-line, you start with that offensive line, then you just build from there. You build the trenches, you find your franchise quarterback, and you're probably going to be in the playoffs every year. Seriously. Like, I think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, but use the Eagles as an example. They have the best O-line in football. They have the best D-line in football. And I don't think Jalen Hurts is special. I think he's an average quarterback in the NFL. I really do. Like, that tush push is elite. Yeah, but, like, he doesn't have an elite arm strength. He's an elite processor. He's not an elite accurate guy. Like, there's nothing crazy special that he does. So it's like he just is able to work with the best run game in football. That defense is always dominant. Man, BR makes another great point. No shade to Sam Darnold, but the Vikings, unbelievable offensive line. And Darnold was able to put up good numbers there.
If you have an offensive line and a defensive line, all you need from a quarterback is don't lose the game.
Correct. I think
That's it.
It might be a little bit disrespectful to call Jalen Hurts a game manager, but, like, I'll say this 100% certainty. I think you could swap Tua and Jalen Hurts, and Tua could have won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. I firmly believe that.
I think Jalen Hurts is closer to a game manager than like a elite quarterback, like elite superstar quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with that take. This is a take that Chase Sr. would probably really get on me for, and I have no issue saying it. I think Jalen Hurts is closer to Tua than he is like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. So, what does this all mean? The summary: the offensive line is a absolute must, and I think the Dolphins have made the necessary steps. If it doesn't work out, say Patrick Paul sucks, well, we'll be going again for left tackle next year. And that's fine. But I think you have a lot of good pieces in place on your offensive line. I do. My guy, Jonathan Soto with a bang. We'll get that on screen here in a second. How electric is this? How electric is this? Oh, man. What a guy. What a guy, what a guy, what a guy. Jonathan Soto. What a guy, what a guy. The legend Jonathan Soto with a $50 super chat. Not only has the offensive line been upgraded, I would almost bet my life savings they will be a top 7 line in the NFL. So let's do a bet on the Fins, on if the Fins line will be at least top 7. Soto, that's aggressive. Top 7? Top 7? Listen, I said it in the video I filmed. I would be happy with top half, like average. I'll just take 15 or 16. Top 7's crazy. And how would you, Soto, how would you take that? Like, what's up, Tyson? How would you measure if it's a top 7 O-line? Are you looking at the stats we showed in terms of PFF grade, win rates, and pass block and run block? Like, how are you determining that, my friend? Like, I don't want to bet against the Dolphins because I want everything to go right and I want it to be a top 7 O-line. I find it hard to believe it would be one, but I think it could be average. So, Soto, like, I want to know, like, how are you judging if it's top 7? If you could explain that to me in the chat, I would love to know. Soto, so just wait and see. I just want to know how you feel like that should be judged. Yeah, I'll do it here in a second. I already got it here. Yeah, I got it prepared up here. I just want to see what Soto has to say. Maybe while I'll wait to see if he comments. Soto, you're the GOAT. Jonathan Goto. I like that in the comment section from Lopez. Lopez is bringing the juice today. I'll tell you what, folks. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to Soto. Soto cracks pages says, I have no idea, dude. I'm just having fun. Soto, you know what? Assuming you're going to hang around with us all NFL season, when we get to the end of the year, if the Dolphins are a top 7 O-line, and keep me in line, Soto. How about this? If the Dolphins have a top, you know what? I'll say top 10. I'll even give you a little bit of bonus points, Soto. But you got to remember this. If the Dolphins at the end of week 18 had a top 10 O-line in the NFL for the season, we're going to be talking about this in January 2026. Crazy to say. If it's top 10, I'll do a beer boot on the house if they have a top 10 O-line, just for you, Soto. But you have to be around all season, and you have to be here to remind me because I will almost definitely forget. But shout out to you, Soto. Shout out to you, Soto. He says, I'll remember. I listen, clip it, do whatever you need to do it. Week 18. Dolphins play, I believe, the New England Patriots in the final week of the year. Right? Yeah, checks out. Kind of forgot the schedule.
Would you do anything special if they're somehow number 1?
Ugh.
If they get to number 1 in the league.
I don't know what else I could do. I don't know what else I could do. I believe they play the Patriots week 18. Yes, they do. In New England. Buy him a jersey? I don't know about that. I'm just kidding. Sorry. Tim, are you going to go to that game? You live in Foxborough. Are you going to that game week 18 if it means something for Miami? I think there's a decent chance that the Dolphins and Patriots week 18 game could decide a wild card spot. I really do. Tim is going to go to that game. Legendary. All right, so what we have here, we have two more segments here, folks. We have an ESPN surprise player as well as a Q&A. So I want to get some questions loaded in before we start the show. So if you want to be on our Q&A, we have over 100 people watching, so we should be able to get a bunch of stuff. Hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat to get on the Q&A. Let's load up like 5 questions at least here before we get into the segment. So if you have a question about the season, a player, free agency, whatever you want to ask, hashtag Dolphins in the question that you ask in the live chat. Follow Cameron C's lead. Yes, we did. That's a good question. So one question in. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron has another one. Zoe, you got to make sure the hashtag is attached to Dolphins. So close, my friend. So close. What's up, Ty, man? So we got 2 questions in, both from Cameron. That's fine, but I would like to get a lot of different people on here. I love how Ty, man, just comes into the building and then just says bang. Shouts out Soto. I love it. The camaraderie in the Dolphins chat. Soto with a question. Make sure we get that on there because Soto's sending a $50 super chat, so he's got to be on there. No, he just sent in a question. Soto's got one. Zoe's got... So we got 5. We got 2 from Cameron. Zoe finally got it right. Soto with a great question. Cameron has so many questions. Listen, you could fire him away if you want. Mary with a question as well. I like it. Joey D with a question. Good questions coming in. There we go. Continue to do it. All right. Thank you, Cameron. We'll be live next Tuesday, so don't you worry. I might be exhausted next Tuesday. I'll be in Boston with my girlfriend, and I'm flying back Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. and still coming into work. So it might be a tired Rolly on Dolphins Live next Tuesday, but I'll be here. I'll be here. All right. We got some good questions in there, so we'll revisit that here. But let's get into the surprise Dolphins player for the Miami Dolphins via ESPN. Lopez, when you're ready, let's get segment number 3 rolling. ESPN named a surprise player for all 32 NFL teams, and they lived up to the name because the player that they gave as a surprise for the Fins is a pretty big surprising player. I'm Nic Rohloff, host of Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. We'll get into everything here. Who was that surprise player? It was actually a UDFA from 2024, Grayson Murphy, the edge from UCLA. This is a player that we have briefly mentioned so far this offseason as someone who has been flashing in OTAs and mandatory minicamp. So I am excited to see more of Grayson Murphy in the preseason and training camp in late July into August. But before we get more into Grayson Murphy, how about we do a little fun game today? Follow for follow. The first 5 people to follow me on X or Twitter from today's video gets a follow back. My handle is at Nic_Rohloff. My social media's been popping off. We picked up about 400 followers in the last 2 weeks, mostly Heat fans because I have been covering the Heat. I am a Heat fan as well. But I want to make some room for the Dolphins fans as well. Appreciate getting over 2,000 followers. If you want to follow back, first 5, get one from today's show. All right, so ESPN obviously had the reporters give out why these players are named as their more shocking players or surprises. So let's kick it over to ESPN and Marcel, who talked about Grayson Murphy. On a team that features Bradley Chubb, Jaelan Phillips, and Chop Robinson, Murphy made splash plays in the backfield during spring practices. The aforementioned 3 pass rushers should dominate snaps when healthy, but staying healthy has been difficult over the past 2 seasons. Even for Murphy, who landed on injured reserve in August after signing as an undrafted free agent last season. He could provide situational or rotational pass rush depth if he continues his production into training camp. And I mentioned off the top of today's show, this is a player that we've highlighted over the course of our offseason coverage in OTAs and minicamp. Beat reporters such as Barry Jackson, Omar Kelly, Daniel Ferrones, Travis Wingfield, and now Marcel from ESPN have all talked about how Grayson Murphy just continues to jump off the page and continue to make plays in 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s. Obviously, they haven't gotten into padded and contact workouts yet. That is prohibited until you get into training camp. But Murphy is clearly showing a lot of good traits and potential with Miami early this offseason. And if we're going to be honest, there is room here on the roster at the edge department. When you look at the pass rushers on the outside for Miami, obviously the highlighted Phillips, Robinson, and Chubb are going to be your top 3. But behind them, I think it's widely open. There is room on this roster for a player like Grayson Murphy. We put out a video out earlier in the week talking about Saunders Jr. having a hard time finding a roster spot due to the amount of safeties Miami has. I think the opposite could be said with edges. The Dolphins have a lot of edges, but they don't have roster locks like there is at the safety position. There's only 3 guaranteed people that are going to be on the 53-man roster when it comes to this Dolphins edge room, giving Grayson Murphy the wiggle room and flexibility that is necessary to potentially make this 53-man roster in late August. So I want you to predict it for me. Prediction time. Will Grayson Murphy make the Dolphins 53-man roster when it is announced in August? Type Y for yes, type N for no, pin comment. I want to know what the Dolphins fans have to say, so go down in the comments and let me know. Let's introduce you more to Grayson Murphy if you are unaware of who this player actually is. He played at the University of North Texas in the American Athletic Conference from 2019 to 2021 before transferring to play for UCLA in 2022 and 2023. He was signed to the Miami Dolphins as an undrafted free agent in the 2024 offseason, but then missed all of last season with an injury. As it was noted from Marcel from ESPN, he was placed on injured reserve in the preseason portion, and if you were put on IR before the season begins, you are then out for the year. And he did play only 1 game in the preseason. He played 28 snaps against the Atlanta Falcons in the first preseason game for Miami on August 9th. I remember that day specifically. It's my birthday. Shout out to me. But after that game, he unfortunately got injured and then never was able to put on a Dolphins uniform again until this upcoming offseason. So we'll see. And the thing is with Murphy is that he was viewed as a steal for the Fins last offseason when he went undrafted. When the Dolphins signed him in undrafted free agency, a lot of people around the NFL media circle was like, wow, this is going to be a pretty solid UDFA signing for Miami. That is a legit chance to make the roster. And I think he would have made the roster due to the injuries that Miami had at the position, with Shaq Barrett retiring as well, leaving Miami a little bit scrambling at that position. I think he would have. And I think he'll make noise again this August, assuming he can stay healthy with the Dolphins' 3 preseason games and full training camp in July and August. I'm excited to see Grayson Murphy really contend for a roster spot. And we'll have full coverage of training camp and preseason leading to the regular season beginning in early September here every single day. So join me and the 70,000 strong that has already subscribed to Dolphins Today Join us. It's a lot of fun. Let's go back to Grayson Murphy's pre-draft profile because I think it's fun to bring this up. And he is viewed as a pretty solid athlete. Had an RAS of 8.68, elite speed grade. You see a 4.63 40-yard dash. That will absolutely play. But when you compare that and combine it with his explosion grade, it will be very, very good in terms of an optimistic viewpoint. A good broad and vertical showcases his ability to get off the line of scrimmage at a very quick rate. He is a little bit undersized, and he isn't the strongest guy as well, so he does rely on speed moves more than bull and physicality. But that's not me saying that he can't play physical at the point of attack when rushing the passer, because he can. And when you go back to last year's NFL draft in 2024, the draft grade that was given to Grayson Murphy by our own Tom Downey at Chat Sports was a 6th-round grade. So it's a player that our guy Tom Downey had very, very draftable, but he went undrafted. So there is a lot to work with here with Grayson Murphy. And looking back at the scouting report that our own draft expert gave him, he said he wins with strength despite not being the most physical, imposing type of guy. He's able to blend that speed into a quick explosion to the chest of an offensive line and can win there. He has good use of his hands while rushing the passer, and he's a solid player in run defense. Not great, but solid. The question marks with him and the bads was that he missed a lot of tackles in his 2 years playing for the UCLA Bruins, and he also had some questions with his arm length, which we know is a very decisive factor when it comes to prospects on the offense and defensive line, because the first person to reach contact oftentimes is able to win that rep. And that's why there was major questions about LSU's Will Campbell this year, and it's why arm length is looked at as such a positive for offensive linemen and defensive line. So it is a little bit of an issue for Grayson Murphy. We mentioned a little bit earlier. He's a little undersized for his position, but he's got good play strength and good athleticism, which is how he makes up for it and his ability to be productive. It's also maybe why he is better looking in OTAs and minicamp when there's no pads on, because it's more about athleticism and quickness and bendiness more than physicality and play strength. Maybe that could be a reason why Grayson Murphy has performed better without pads compared to when he put the pads on. Rounding out the show here in a second, but this insane hoodie sale is too good to pass up, folks. Usually this Dolphin sweatshirt, $69. Right now, $29. Yep, that is not a typo. That is not me misspeaking. $40 off when you go to chatsports.com/MIA hoodie. It is not going to be on sale much longer. Sizes are already running out. So if you want to take advantage of this awesome deal, links in the description and comments of today's video. $40 off. Chatsports.com/MIA hoodie. When you think about what Grayson Murphy has to deal with in terms of making this Dolphins 53-man roster, his two main competitors are Quentin Bell and Mohamed Kamara. Those two are the players that he is going to have to fight for to make this 53-man roster. Kamara was a 5th-round pick in 2024, so he got drafted over Grayson Murphy. And Quentin Bell has bounced around the league, but was productive last season for the Fins. And when you look at that edge competition, it's fascinating. Quentin Bell appeared in about 258 snaps. Mohamed Kamara, only 26. So both weren't major players, but you look at their numbers here. And for Kamara's sake, it's hard to really judge him because he did only get on the football field 26 times last season. But how about this? In his 26 snaps, 17 of them were in pass rushing situations. He ended up winning he ended up getting 2 pressures in those 17 snaps with a pass rush win rate of 23.1%. An extremely small sample size, but a 23% win rate is ridiculous. Quentin Bell was a little bit more productive in the more normal sense, but he, in 230 more snaps than Kamara, only was able to generate 3 more pressures and have a win percentage of 5%. Look, I liked what Quentin Bell gave us because it was unexpected last season, but you could argue that if Mohamed Kamara was given the same opportunities, he would have been able to put up pretty similar numbers. I think Mohamed Kamara is right on the fringe of a roster lock. I don't think I could give him that certified, pounding my fist on the table roster lock like I give other players on the roster right now. But with him being a 5th-round pick from a year ago, like, there is relatively solid draft capital invested in the Kamara. He flashed some capability in small sample size. And I just believe in the player and the person. The guy has a really, really good mentality. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He plays like he's got fire on his ass all the time. He's just always working. He's always grinding. So I think Mohamed Kamara is borderline a roster lock, which would then leave it to potentially, if you're keeping 5 edge rushers, Quinn Bell and Grayson Murphy. Closing the show in a second, but will Mohamed Kamara make the Dolphins 53-man roster? I think he will, so I would be typing my M for make. But if you think otherwise or agree, let me know your thoughts in the comments. M for make, W for won't. I have often talked about the position battles that is going to be just so fun to watch in training camp. The safety room, the cornerback room. But this edge battle at the edge of this roster is going to be absolutely awesome. Grayson Murphy versus Quentin Bell for potentially the 5th and final spot given out to an edge rusher. It's going to be cinema. Cinema, I say. Watching those two work hand in hand together in the 3 preseason games Miami will play, but then also know that they are likely battling against each other for one of the final roster spots. Oh, it's just going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I can't wait to watch it unfold. And let's just say this. Let the best man win. If it's Grayson Murphy, I'll be fired up to root him on every week. If it's Quinn Bell, I'll be excited as well because he did show some very good things last season for Miami with what he actually had a pretty solid role in this Anthony Weaver defense. That'll do it for this episode of Dolphins Today. Appreciate everybody who tuned in. As I mentioned at the top, first 5 people to follow me on Twitter from this show, at Nic_Rohloff, get a follow back. You know what? I'll open it up because if you're a real one and made it to the end of the show today, DM me and say real one, and I'll follow you back anyway. So appreciate everybody tuning in throughout the entire show, and make sure you go follow me over on Twitter/X. All right, 3rd segment down, 1 more to go. Will Kamara make the roster? Joey D says make. Zoe says no. BR and CT says make. Why do you say no, Zoe? Why do you say no? I want to know. Bill and Cameron both say make. Can't give me a no and then say no reason. I want to see what Zoe has to say. I do. Also, while we wait for Zoe's response, Lopez, where are we at in questions for the Q&A? Zoe says he hasn't touched the field in 2 years and had too many healthy scratches. I don't believe he fits the Weaver scheme. Well, I don't know how you say he hasn't touched the field in 2 years, considering he's a second-year player and he played a lot for Colorado State his final year there and was one of the most productive pass rushers in all of college football for the Rams. I mean, in that game that he played against Shedeur Sanders in Colorado, he had like 4 sacks. So I don't think you're on target with that. Now, maybe there's something to be said that he doesn't fit the Weaver scheme. He is a little bit undersized. But I believe in the in between the ears with Mohamed Kamara. So I would be typing my make. We got 11 questions? Oh, then we're golden. We're golden, pony boy. Golden. Name the movie. Come on. You got this. It's not a country movie. It's one of the most famous movies of all time, The Outsiders. Yeah, The Outsiders. You've never heard of The Outsiders?
No.
Really?
Really?
It's one of the most famous movies of all time. It has an unbelievable cast. Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Rob Lowe, Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze, Emilio Estevez. You didn't have to read that book in middle school or high school?
I read To Kill a Mockingbird.
Really? Interesting. I was forced to watch or read the book The Outsiders. There was a chapter in my English class, and then we watched the movie at the end. It's a good movie. Load cast.
We watched some.
So it's a short movie, only 90 minutes. It's a crime thriller type thing. Not really a thriller, I wouldn't say that, but Outsiders is a good movie. Lopez, that's your homework. If you can, find a way to watch The Outsiders sometime soon.
Let's say it can't be tonight. I got Love Island tonight, but
That's Lopez got Love Island tonight. It's a ball no take right there. Ball no take. But the main character is Ponyboy, and they say "Stay Gold, Ponyboy." It's like a really big moment in the movie. Yeah. Really?
Saints, when we opened the show, it's like, oh, type "Stay Golden," and everyone just saying "Stay Golden, Ponyboy." Like,
All right, let's get into the final segment of today's show, Q&A. When Lopez is all ready to go, we'll start answering some of your questions. Appreciate the people that are still watching. We're one like away from 100. Sorry, quick iso ball rolly moment. We're not starting the Q&A until we get 100 likes. Just need one. Just need one. There we go. We got to 100. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I mentioned to Lopez a little bit earlier, I think I got a little OCD in me. Being at 99 before our final segment, that would have not been able to sit right by me. So I'm glad we got over 100. Appreciate everybody. I actually have this running joke that whenever I refer to OCD, I actually say CDO, because it's like if you actually have OCD, then you'd probably want to say CDO to have the letters in the right order. All right, dumb joke, dumb thing. Let's move on here. All right, Lopez, when you're ready to get this Q&A rolling, let's get it going. Let's do it. This edition of Miami Dolphins Today, it's a mailbag. Welcome in. I am your host, Nic Rohloff, and as we get closer and closer to Dolphins training camp, I wanted to sit here and reflect and answer some of the questions from the Dolphins fans because there is a lot of interest around this team. There's some needs at tight end, corner, and with this team needing to bounce back from a year ago, there are questions that you ask me, they need to be answered by the front office and coaching staff as well. We'll start off with a legend, Jonathan Soto, who came in with a big $50 super chat on our live show this Tuesday, by the way. Legendary stuff. What are your thoughts on Jordan Phillips, and do you think he makes a significant difference this season? Well, let's just inform people who Jordan Phillips is, if they are not aware. He was the ridden-round pick in the 4th round by the Miami Dolphins out of Maryland. And I think Phillips is someone who is going to, I wouldn't say make a difference, but he will certainly be impactful this year. Because when I'm envisioning the defensive line for Miami, and they can go in so many different ways because they could play Chop and Chubb together. They can play Chop, Jaelan, Chubb together, play all three, and then have Zach Sealer in the middle and move one of those other guys in the middle. But primarily, they will probably play Zach Sealer and Kenneth Grant on the interior with 2 of those 3 edge rushers I just mentioned on the outside. But in run-stuffing situations, which is where Jordan Phillips will probably come into play, like he's more of a nose tackle, more of a run-stuffer, but he does have pass-rushing capabilities as well. I still think Benito Jones is going to get that lead nose tackle role for Miami to at least start off. So maybe Jordan Phillips as the season progresses or Benito Jones gets hurt, gets more of a role on that interior defensive line for Miami. But at least as of right now, I would not bank on Jordan Phillips having a significant role this year. But I do really like him as a player and a person because of how he carries himself and how he talked about how hard he worked at college. Same thing. His teammate Dante Trader Jr., who Miami drafted, said the same thing. So I believe long-term he will be a good piece for Miami, but as a rookie early on, I don't anticipate him being that big of an impact. Cameron C., how do you feel about Asante Samuel Sr. going off on the Dolphins? I think it's clown shit. I really do. We actually made a video reacting to this earlier in the week, so if you missed that, that's why you got to be subscribed to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. Miami obviously is very interested in his son, who's the top corner free agent available, Asante Samuel Jr., who is likely going to sign relatively soon after he gets his medical checkup. And I do not think what Samuel Sr. said about the Miami Dolphins is how his son feels. But he basically, if you did not hear what he said Mike McDaniel is a pushover, Chris Grier has no backbone, and says there's no leadership inside that Dolphins organization. I believe that's a crock of shit. To a degree. I think that this coaching staff and front office could be a little bit more stern, but to say that it's a dumpster fire, I feel is a little bit egregious. They have a winning record as a franchise over the last 3 seasons. Have they struggled down the stretch? A little bit, sure. But I think it's just weird for him to come out and say that. Like, I don't understand what he gains from this. With that being said, I hope they sign his son. And I hope his son doesn't feel the same way either, because if he does, he's probably not going to sign here. But Asante Samuel Jr., please become a Miami Dolphin. More questions to be answered, but make sure you follow us over on Instagram. At Dolphins Today IG is our handle. We put out more content over there, Instagram posts, short-form videos. If you want even more coverage on the Fins in between our YouTube videos, that's where you can find it. We're also 50 followers away from 1,000. When we get to 1,000, I'm doing an Instagram Q&A. So hit that follow. Links in the description. It's also at the bottom of your screen. Zoe Owens, who is the weakest link at running back this year? Interesting question. It's hard for me to really pinpoint one. Obviously, the running back room for Miami, I would make the argument, is like the number 1 or number 2 spot on this roster in terms of just how good I feel about it. Devon Achane is a top 10 back in football. I feel really strong about Jaelan Wright having a second-year role in improvement. Alexander Madison was signed to be that 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 physical RB, which he has done at a really high level. And then you drafted Ollie Gordon in the 6th round. I don't know if I'll include Alec Ingold here. He's that fullback that Mike McDaniel likes to use. Not every team does, but McDaniel and Miami do. It's hard to pinpoint a weakest link. Like, I think you just naturally have to say the rookie Ollie Gordon, but that's not me being down on him because he is built like a truck, 6'2", 225, was one of the most productive running backs in all of college football the past couple of seasons, was the Doak Award winner in 2023 when he had like 1,600 yards and 20-plus rushing touchdowns for the, I almost forgot the Cowboys. I don't know why I forgot their mascot for a second. But either way, Ollie Gordon, I would have to say him just because he's a rookie, and I believe in Madison, Wright, and Achane, but that's not me being down on Ollie Gordon by any means. I think he's going to be a really good, productive player in spot snaps for Miami. 24 Josh with a question. I just saw that the NFL ranked Devon Achane amongst 27th against RB1s going into next season. They had a Murray and Hampton over him. Is that accurate? I don't think that is. Like, I don't know where you saw this, but I'm pretty sure I saw the same article, and they named their top 10 running backs in football, and I'm pretty sure they had Devon Achane as an honorable mention. So that would not place him at 27. I want to double check to see if I'm running right on that. I'm quickly searching it up to see if I can find this. Yeah, here's the article. Quick fingers by me. Top 10 running backs in football this upcoming year. Honorable mention, Devon Achane. Yeah, I don't know where you're seeing this. I think you might be a little off on that. So I don't know where you saw that, 24 Josh. But Devon Achane is certainly a top 10 back in football in my opinion. And I do not think the NFL ranked him there. in this ESPN article, they had Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, James Cook ahead of him, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, McCaffrey, Bijan, Jameer, Henry, and Saquon. I got to be honest, Kamara shouldn't be there. That's name value. I don't think James Cook should be in the top 10. I don't think Jonathan Taylor should be in the top 10 either. I think Devon Achane's a top 10 back, but he's certainly not 27. I don't know where you saw that article. Joey D, should the Dolphins trade for Carrington Valentine or Jaelan Jones on the Colts? They are underrated, in my opinion, as a CB2. I can't speak on Carrington Valentine too much, but I do have an eye on Jaelan Jones, the Colts corner, because I have seen him, and he played a lot for Indianapolis a year ago and did some okay things. That Colts secondary was pretty brutal for the most part last season. Jaelan Jones is an all right piece. He certainly would be an improvement over what you have. Like, you look at your outside corners now, Cam Smith at CB2 with Storm Duck at CB1. That's not great. Like, your best player in your secondary, at least at corner, is Kader Kohu, who's a top 10 nickel in the NFL, in my opinion. Like, I feel very confident and positive about him going into the season. But I don't like where we're at with Storm Duck and Cam Smith. Now, maybe they prove me wrong and they both have a really good training camp when the pads come on, and they play really well in the 3 preseason games against the Lions, Jaguars, and Bears. Remember, they also will be doing joint practices, one joint practice with each of those teams, which will get good looks at how our secondary fares against pass catchers like Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. So that secondary will be tested in the preseason for sure. And I'm excited to see how that ultimately comes to fruition. But I would be interested in trading potentially for Jaelan Jones if he was on the market, let's say. More questions to be answered here, but I want to quickly ask the Fins fans, who is your favorite Dolphins player? I want to go down in the comments, and I want to see who the people are rocking with the most. I want one player and one only. Who is your favorite player on the Fins? I'll give you mine. Number 17, wide receiver, Jaelan Waddle. BR, what are some positives the Dolphins fans should look forward to going into 2025 with all the disrespect we have been getting? It's a fair question, BR. It's been a lot of hate being thrown around this Dolphins team. Rightfully so for some reasons. A little overhated at times, I think. So, I think the number one positive I think we should look at is the improvement in the offensive line. Like, moving on, at least as a starter, from Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg is just massive. You invested in your O-line with Patrick Paul a year ago in the second round, signing James Daniels to a 3-year deal to be your starting offensive guard, either left guard or right guard, and then drafting Jonah Savinaya in the second round, trading up to go get him as well from pick 48 to 38. Like, you made investments into this O-line. You have young players at left tackle and right guard. You have solid veterans at left guard, center, and right tackle. For a unit that was without a doubt bottom 5 in the NFL last season, Fins fans should feel good in a good direction with where the offensive line is heading. So to me, that is a major positive. If you want another positive, I would probably have to say this pass rush would be something that Fins fans should be excited for. I mean, I'm salivating over this pass rush. I am. Like, maybe I'm thinking way too highly of the rookie Kenneth Grant, but Chop Robinson had such a good rookie season. I anticipate him being a double-digit sack guy this upcoming year. I mean, he almost did it last season, and he really didn't start getting any production until week 8. If he stays healthy, I think he could be an easy double-digit sack guy. With Jaelan Phillips coming back into the fold, he only played 4 games last season. Bradley Chubb didn't play a single game last season. So I could argue you have the best edge trio in the NFL when healthy. Chubb, Phillips, Chop. And then you add in the most disrespected, underrated interior defensive lineman in the National Football League with Zach Sealer, a 13th overall pick in Kenneth Grant. Like, that potential defensive line. So it's crazy to say, I think the 2 most positive things you could think about is your pass rush, defensive line, and O-line this upcoming year. Those are the 2 things I'm most excited to watch. Maybe this season doesn't pan out well for Miami, but seeing the growth in the trenches is something I will be very excited about. Taylor with a question. Who do you think Tua's top 3 pass catchers are going to be this year? Rank them by the number of receptions they will have by the end of the season. Good question. Last year, the answer was Tyreek Hill, Jonnu Smith, Devon Achane. Those were your top 3. Jonnu's obviously no longer with the team. I am going to go most receptions, Jalen Waddle. I'm going to go hot take. I'm going Waddle. I think Mike McDaniel and this coaching staff knows this is Tyreek Hill's final year with the team. $52 million cap hit next season. He's gone. He ain't going to be here next season. He'll be here this year. Maybe he's traded the deadline. But I'm going to go Waddle 1 because they're going to treat him as the wide receiver 1 going forward. I'll go Tyreek Hill 2 still. And then I'll go Devon Achane 3. I think we just saw how often Achane will be used as a pass catcher, running routes, running screen plays. So I'm going to go Waddle 1, Tyreek Hill 2, Achane 3. With no Jonnu Smith, Waddle ends up getting in that top 3. And I think he takes the top spot as well. More questions to be answered here, but we also put out other daily content here. Weekly live shows as well. This is where this mailbag was filmed. Every Tuesday we do a Q&A. If you missed that mailbag, well, you might have not been subscribed. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss any content we put out because it's daily and it comes at you all the time. Cameron, another question. How is Andrew Armstrong looking in practice so far? This is the highly touted UDFA wide receiver that Miami signed from Arkansas. He led the SEC in receiving last season. He's got great length at 6'4". He ran a sub-4.5 40, so he's a player that myself and many others believed in and think could be an impact type of wide receiver in undrafted free agency. Now, with all of that being said, through minicamp and OTAs, he has not really done a lot to make Dolphins fans excited heading into training camp. I don't think a lot of positive momentum has been building for Andrew Armstrong. Now, I can't comment on how he's done personally because I am not at the field watching these things happen, but based off what I've seen, read, and heard, it sounds like Theo Weiss Jr. and A.J. Henning have been your 2 better UDFA wide receivers. Theo Weiss coming from Missouri, A.J. Henning coming from Northwestern. So those 2 players have been showcasing a little bit more in terms of their route running, their speed, more predominantly Theo Weiss Jr. Like those are the 2 wide receivers that have flashed the most, but the one from Missouri, Theo Weiss, who got a lot of guaranteed money in undrafted free agency, got about $230K from Miami. So that's a player that I would keep my eye on as a potential sneaky 53-man rosters guy. Call your shot as we head into the 2025 NFL season. Will Miami return to the playoffs after missing a season ago? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Type Y for yes or type N for no. And you can continue the conversation over on my social medias at Nic_Rohloff on Twitter. And like I mentioned off the top, Dolphins Today IG is our handle on Instagram. We're 50 followers away from 1,000. When we get there, we're doing an Instagram Q&A, but we also post more Dolphins content on our Instagram. So go give us a follow right now. All right. Video in the books. Video in the books. I'm seeing the comment section that's saying that article that was referenced with Devon Achane was put out today by Maurice Jones-Drew. No offense to Maurice Jones-Drew, and I know he was a legendary running back, actually one of my favorite to watch. That guy knows absolutely nothing about the National Football League. He knows absolutely nothing. Just like nothing, man. Nothing. I know, Cameron C. I am as disappointed as you are. I was hoping in OTAs, minicamp, and hell, even rookie minicamp, to hear a lot more about Andrew Armstrong, and I just never did. I was waiting for it. Never saw it. Never saw it, man. Never saw it. All right, that will conclude our live show. If any super chats come in the next minute, we'll stay live and answer. If not, perfectly acceptable. Appreciate Soto for the $50 super chat earlier. Appreciate the 1,600 people that tuned in throughout our live show. We'll be back again live next. That's not necessary. Lopez here today. We'll be live again next Tuesday, hanging out, talking Dolphins football. We are 2 weeks away tomorrow, so 15 days. The 23rd is when Dolphins training camp will get underway. Couldn't be more excited to finally start talking about some real football again, man. So we'll be here next Tuesday. We'll be here the Tuesday after that, getting you ready for Dolphins training camp. So appreciate everybody who's tuned in. What's up, Bill Lyon? Hopefully the rest of you guys have a good week and good weekend. I'll be in Boston this weekend, so I'm very excited to have some fun there. In opposing territory, if you will. It's fine by me. Fine by me. Everyone have a good week. Everybody have a good weekend. For Nick Lopez, who did an amazing job once again as our producer extraordinaire, Nic Rohloff, peace out. Go Fins.